All right, hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mack, Play Fast Football. With the NFL Combine being this week and all the players that are there being evaluated, I thought today would be a good day to talk a little bit about, building a scheme, building a team, and how different it is for us in high school than it is for the guys in the NFL. All right, make sure you check out some of our partners, GameStrat, Sideline Replay Company we use. I've used them at the last 2 stops that I've been at. And if you're looking for highly reliable, highly affordable, then make sure you check out GameStrat, see why everybody's making the switch over to GameStrat. Dome Hat's a headwear company we use. Play Fast Football, every stop that I've had in my career, which includes 3 different head coaching jobs, now an assistant coaching job. We've all used Dome Hats. If you're looking for custom hats that you can design, snapback, fitted, Velcro, anything you want, you can design it, have them design it for you, custom hats. Check out Dome. Guys at University of Florida graduates, they played, they know, they want to take care of coaches. All right, make sure you check out Dome. Stock hats suck. Baker Sporting Goods company we use for coaches gear, practice gear, sideline gear on Friday nights. Our players gear, spirit packs, uniforms are distributed from them. They're in the shoulder pad world now, baseball world. They do a lot of different things, so make sure you check out Baker Sports. DifferenceUSA, the ultimate striking machine. Get thousands of reps without needing a partner. They set up right to the racks in your weight room, so they are perfect for in-season, off-season skill development. You don't need to teach somebody how to hold a hand shield, provide resistance. It's just you and the ultimate striking machine. Aren Consulting, all right, check out the work they're doing. It's an educational process for people that are looking to increase their knowledge in the recruiting world. So parents, players, trying to keep coaches at the forefront of recruiting, right? Because that's the most important deal to me as a former head coach and a current assistant coach. I know that college coaches are going to need grades, test scores. They're going to want to talk to teachers. They're going to want to talk to administrators, deans. They're going to want to talk to athletic directors, right? So at some point, the recruiting process has to run through the high school. So let's keep high school coaches at the forefront. Aren Consulting and Dan are out there doing a great job educating people about the recruiting process. NCAA timeline, all right, NCAA calendar, important dates, how to build your college contacts. Make sure you check out everything that they got going on if you want to educate yourself in the recruiting process, all right? GETAREN.com. Check them out, getaren.com. And then sting8740 at gmail.com. That's my email address. I've got virtual clinics that I've done, 20 hours of football with a bunch of different people, not just myself. Some of them are myself, some of them are other coaches, college coaches, coaches from this area, Noma Zone. A lot of great coaches that have, thankfully for me, were willing to do clinics or virtual clinics with PlayFast and myself. So 20 hours of football, $15. Email me. We'll set it up. They're all private links on my YouTube channel. All right, as soon as we set it up, I send you the links. You have access to the links, and you let it rip from there. So 20 hours of football, $15. Can't beat it. All right, so got the combine going on, right? And kind of the prelude to free agency that's about to open up, and then the draft. All right, that's coming up, and franchise tags and all the talk that goes on. I know if you follow this channel, I've never been somebody that talks about following certain NFL schemes or certain NFL coordinators or certain NFL teams. I usually don't break down the draft as a topic. I don't talk about recruiting. I don't talk about certain systems that college guys run. Right? I'm not here to advocate any of that. I'm here to just help grow the game of football, help coaches learn a little bit more about X's and O's and practice plans and things involved in the game of football. But one of the educational pieces that I think we have to talk about is when we are thinking about schemes as high school coaches, what we need to think about is our players should dictate our scheme. Now, you've heard me mention this 1,000 times in videos before. I don't advocate a certain system. I don't tell you need to be this. I'm not out there tweeting that everybody needs to be this system or that system. I've been doing this for 25 years. I have lost to every system known to man. I have beat every system known to man. All right? I've had good games against every system out there. I've had terrible games against every system out there. Whatever your system is, you believe in it, you teach it, you run it. All right? I think that is the best way in high school for us to go. With that being said, you need to understand within that system, you have to find a way to dictate that your players, all right, really control the system or the scheme. Now, whether that means within that system, you're putting your players in the most advantageous position, because the best system to me is one that can kind of morph itself and fit itself around who the best player is, right? In high school, we're not going to control who the roster is all the time, all right? We're not going to be able to control when we get them in 9th grade, or we have our roster from 9th through 12th grade. We know who's there. We know who we're developing. We know who's doing a great job in the weight room. We know who's been productive on the field. So we can take those pieces and now figure out, all right, within our scheme, within our system, what are we going to do to make these players the most productive? So the best system to me is that one that says, all right, look, we got a kid at quarterback that's generational. He can really spin it. The next 3-4 years, we're going to do this within our system, right? We're going to throw the ball a little bit more. We're not going to change the entire system. We've got a stud tailback and a really good O-line. We're going to do this within our system. All right, we got really good receivers. We're going to do this. We've got great D-line. We're going to do this. Great linebackers. To me, the system that can morph itself around the players is kind of the way we should go, because to me, the players are going to dictate the scheme, right? In the NFL, it's almost completely the opposite. If you think about how the NFL operates, who the head coach is, who he hires as an OC, who he hires as a DC, general manager, all right, they are going to put these kids through the ringer this week, even though these kids have all played at 40, 35, 30, 44, maybe some of them, games of football that we can watch them play the game of football on film. They are still going to put them through all these rigorous tests, IQ tests, interviews, physical tests, right? Because they're trying to evaluate who fits their scheme. They're not changing their scheme because of certain players in the NFL, right? That is the major difference between NFL football and high school football. We need to fit our scheme around the players that we have. And if you have a certain system, all right, so if you're a flex bone guy, or you're a wing T guy, or a single wing guy, or you're a 3-3 stack guy, or a 4-2-5 guy, you can still stay within that system if it's what you know and what you believe in and what you can teach and what you can fix. But you're going to be smart enough to know how to get your players in the positions in your scheme, okay, that are most advantageous for that player. Okay, so for us, it's always taking the players that we have and making sure we can fit them into our scheme. Well, in the NFL, and a lot of times in college, you're talking about free agency. You're talking about combines, drafts, all right? You're talking about being able to build your franchise. If you can build your franchise, at that level, they need to make selections based on what fits their scheme, right? So if you get a new coordinator in and the scheme's going to change, that's going to affect free agency and that's going to affect the draft, right? If you get a new head coach and the schemes are going to change, that's going to affect free agency, that's going to affect the draft. Because at that level, the scheme comes first, and then they find the players to fit the scheme. Now, granted, they're picking from a pool of the best football players in the country, right? So we're not talking about taking a shot, you know, on guys that we have no idea if they can play or not. They know exactly what these guys can do. Yes, they're going to hit. Yes, they're going to miss. But it's all about taking guys based on the scheme that you're running. And that's always going to be the talk when it comes down to the combine and it comes down to free agency. What is the fit? How does it fit? Well, in high school, guess what the fit is? You've got to take that guy and you've got to make him fit, right? If you have a player that's a difference maker on your team, if you have somebody that you think has to be put in a position to make plays, you need to make that fit, okay? You don't bypass that player and select another player because the second player fits your scheme. You take the one that you got and you make your scheme work for him, okay? Completely opposite, in my opinion. Now, there's going to be people that disagree with me, all right? There's going to be people that are going to say, all right, that you shouldn't deal with it in that manner, but I really don't know what other way that we can handle it. Our roster changes. My roster in 22 years of head coaching, I knew who I had. I didn't know who was going to keep playing, who was going to quit, right? I had guys that I could count on and guys that I knew that you know, we wanted to invest a lot of time and energy into because they invested a lot of time and energy in us. All right, I always had kind of an idea of who was coming in 9th grade, right? But they didn't all end up coming to your school, especially when open enrollment started and kids could go to different high schools. that changed, the landscape of high school football probably for, forever now. Okay, because your roster is constantly a state of flux. Even the ones in your neighborhood you think you might get, you're not getting your hands on all the time, right? So we really don't know what we've got until we have it in front of us. So in high school, for us as coaches, I'm trying to build a defense around the pieces that I have in front of me, right? I'm not taking my scheme, whatever I think my scheme is, whatever, scheme people label me as saying, hey, 3-4 guy, 4-2-5 guy, 3-3 stack guy. Whatever that label is, I'm not taking that into a job and saying, all right, let's go out and find the kids that fit this scheme. It's actually the opposite. Hey, now that we're here at this school with these players, how do we fit these players into our scheme, or how do we adapt and adjust our scheme? All right, in the NFL, I don't think there's going to be coaches that are watching players at the combine and saying, all right, look, we're going to take him at the 13th pick if he's available, and if we get him, we need to change our scheme because we got him. What they're going to do at the 13th pick is they're going to look and go, all right, we're a 3-4 team. All right, we really need help at the weak side jack position. We're going to take the best outside linebacker or athletic defensive end that we think is available at 13 that fits our 3-4. All right, that's how they operate at that level, because they are building their team around players that they can select, interview, test their IQ, figure out if their, mindset and through the interview process, do they fit the culture of what we're trying to build, right? It's a completely different building process in high school and the NFL. Now, when we study the schemes, obviously we can look at some of the things that they're doing on offense and defense, and we can look at the creative motions that they're using now, right? And we can watch some of the things that the Dolphins or the 49ers or the Chiefs are doing to get matchups with their best players. We can look at some of the pressures that they're using on defense, right? I'm not saying that we can't learn from the NFL, but when it comes time to building a team, what we do as coaches with our roster and what they do is completely different. We have a roster that we have to make work, all right? High school coaching to me is almost like survival. Every year it changes, and you've got to adapt to the changes and find a way to find success on the football field with that group. And then you're going to get a new group, and then you're going to get another new group. Now, colleges and NFL teams are going to get new groups also, right? But they're selecting the group that they're getting. And for us in high school, we're not selecting the group that we're getting. So to me, we have to be, I've always said that I thought high school coaching was the toughest job in the world because of, the eclectic version and the variety of what we see from week to week. Where else can you go and defend single wing, flex bone the next week, wing T the next week, spread, hurry up, no huddle, tempo, however you want to look at it next week, or zone read with really wide splits the next week, condensed formations the next week. All right, when you get to the college and NFL level, almost every week, especially at the NFL, they're defending the same things every week. Some teams do a better job. Some teams, all right, don't do as good of a job. Some teams are personnel-wise a little bit different. All right, but as far as the game plans are concerned, you're seeing very similar structures almost every single week. In high school, we see everything, right? We see everything. Like classic examples when I was younger and I would go to clinics and there was an NFL guy, talking on defense, and somebody asked, hey, coach, what would you do against a wing T? And the guy just said, look, we don't see it. I really don't know what I would do against a wing T. I'm sure if he thought about it, he'd have an answer. But the honest answer that he gave is the right answer. I don't defend that, so we don't really worry about that. Or, hey, coach, how would you defend triple option? Well, we don't see the flex bone in the NFL, so we don't, set a lot of time towards defending triple option. Just an example I'm giving you. They don't see it. They don't have to worry about it. In high school, we see everything, right? So schematically, I think we have the toughest job. And then fitting players to schemes, I think we have the toughest job because we're not selecting players to fit our scheme. All right? We're taking players and going, hey, next year I think we really need to use him and him. These are going to be the difference makers. Where can we use him? All right? Where can we take a kid from one side that maybe is a really good receiver but isn't getting enough touches? Man, he could really help us at safety, right? We're taking that piece of clay that's in front of us and we have to mold it. All right, the guys in the NFL with the combine and free agency, they're just buying different pieces of clay. They still have to mold it, all right, but they're out there buying different pieces and selecting different pieces to figure out how they want to mold that clay, right? So, I would love, the combine is always intriguing to me. free agency, building a team, the GM role. Everything about NFL football has always been intriguing to me from the standpoint of if you had a chance to build a team around your schematics, could you make the right selections, right? Could you make the right choices to fit your scheme? Because ultimately, that is what they are doing at that level, and even the college level, right? As soon as they get their head coach in place and their coordinators in place, they're going to recruit to fit the scheme, right? They're not, now there's going to be some can't miss players that they're going to take no matter what. I get it. It happens in the NFL sometimes, best available on the board. I get it, right? But ultimately, the talk around every NFL franchise is always going to be, what's the need? Where do we need to put our priority? And does he fit what we do? And every time there's a coordinator change, hey, he's a 4-3 guy. Who do you think fits in this year's draft? He's a 3-4 guy. Who do you think fits in this year's draft? Hey, he's a big man guy. What corners do we need to look at? Where are the better man corners? Right? That world is completely different than the world that we live in. It's still football, right? It's still blocking and tackling. Schemes are still schemes. But how they are selecting players to build their franchise is completely opposite of what we are doing. Right? So I'm watching all the combine talk right now. I'm listening to interviews. I'm watching different players, and I'm watching how the NFL franchises are evaluating different talent. But when it comes down to my team, I'm thinking about our roster and going, all right, next year I think we need to be a 3-4 defense because it puts our talent in the best position to make the most plays possible. I'm not going to sit back and say, hey, we have to stay tight, 3 high. That's my system. Let's put the kids into places in that system. Right now, if every year I had a chance to go out and select players to fit the tight 3 high system, well, every year I would be a tight 3 high guy, right? So in the high school world for us, all right, one of the things I always tell people all the time is you coach whatever scheme you want. There is no system you have to run. I will show you across the country. I will show you state champions, wing T, single wing, flex bone, run and shoot, 3-3, 3-4, 4-3, old school 5-2 double eagle teams every down playing 0 or man free. They've all won state titles, all right? Selectively, they've all gone 1-9, 2-8 also, right? You don't hear about those. So it's any scheme you want. You have to believe in it. You've got to sell it, all right? But the most important thing to me is your scheme flexible enough to adapt to the playmakers that you have? Because that's what you do in high school. You take the playmakers that you have and you put them in the best spot possible. And if that means adapting or changing your scheme, then that's what you do. All right? I find it hard to believe that there's going to be NFL teams selecting in the draft, all right, that are going to change their scheme for a certain player. Quarterback might be the only position that I can possibly think, all right, where a team may change how they approach the schematics with a certain quarterback as opposed to how they would approach the schematics with a different style quarterback. All right? Your outside rushers, your weak side backers, your 12, 13 sack guys, your DNs off the edge, they're going to figure that out 4-3, 3-4. They're going to put those guys in a spot to make plays. All right? They're not going to change the scheme and say, hey, look, we need that guy, and if we get him, we're going 3-4. They've already built a roster. They've already started making moves around the roster. Now, when 4-3 guys and 3-4 guys change jobs, now that's where all the talk in free agency and draft is about, hey, we got to find this position. Who's going to play that position? Right? And that's what makes the offseason so great. And that's what, to me, when you think about offseason talk, when everybody's starving for football, what do you hear about? Recruiting. Does this kid fit? Where are we going to play him, right? That's the buzz. Draft, free agency. What do we need to find? Oh, we just hired a 3-4 guy now. What are we going to do with our roster? What do we need to draft now to fit that scheme? Right? They're building their team a completely different way than we are, and they have to build their team to fit the scheme. Okay? We have to fit the scheme to the players that we have. And whether it's adapting our system, changing our system, coming up with a new system. Okay? Your scheme is what you believe in. It's what you think you can teach. All right? It's what you think you can fix. That's always step one. All right, but you got to learn in high school how to be flexible, because when you get players on your team that have to play and you need to find a way for them to be productive, it may take you wrinkling your scheme a little bit to fit that player, okay? As opposed to every year us going out and going, all right, he graduated, okay, let's go out, we need to find 2 pass rushers, all right, we're a 4-3 team. We're 4 down. We need to find a 3 tech. We need to find a weak side end that can rush the passer. We need to find a Sam linebacker. No, this is our roster. These are the kids we have. Maybe we're not a 3-3 stack team anymore. Maybe we're not a 4 down team anymore, right? So, again, off season, beautiful time of year. Everybody's learning, clinics, schemes, all the great stuff. Today's talk was no X's and O's, just a topic. Probably going to piss some people off that there's no X's and O's, but it is what it is. All right. Draft time, NFL time, combine time. It's interesting to me to see how all the GMs and head coaches approach evaluating the talent to fit their team. All right. Because on our level, we are evaluating talent to figure out where we need to play them for us to be most effective. Okay. They're evaluating talent to figure out who's the best guy that we need to fit this position in our scheme. What is our number one need? What do we have to address? All right, and we're taking that unless somebody else falls. That's the best prospect out there, but it's got to fit their need in their 4-3, in their 3-4. All right, whatever the philosophy on offense is, it's got to fit their need. That's why there's going to be interviews, testing, all the medical stuff that's going to go on to make sure guys are obviously cleared. You're going to have the Wonderlic test, the IQ test, right? All these things, when these guys have already played X amount of football games, we've already watched them play football, which is ultimately what they're going to do. They're going to play football. Why do all these other things matter? Because you have to make sure you're selecting somebody that fits the area of need that you have based on what your team wants to do. We have to take the players that we have and fit what we do around the skill set that they have, okay? A long story short, coaching is coaching, football is football. It's the greatest team sport out there, all right? We just have to understand the differences and the nuances between how the NFL builds a team and a scheme, how high school coaches build a team and a scheme, okay? If we're dead set on this scheme because that's the guy we are, all right, we are a system guy, that's what we run. Well, how do we fit our players into that system to get the most out of them, okay? NFL level, does this guy fit my system? Because I'm not necessarily changing my system for this one player, all right, because I got to build a team around a franchise and a salary and all these other moving pieces, so I don't know if we're going to necessarily change everything we do for this one player, okay? So in high school, all right, find a way to take your schemes and fit them to your best players. In the NFL, find the best player that fits your scheme. All right, as always, guys, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Turn the notifications on. You know, every time we do a video or we go on YouTube Live, all right? Thumbs up, thumbs down. If you hate the fact that this doesn't have X's and O's, if you hate the fact that I'm talking about NFL football, it's your opinion. I appreciate your view. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Leave a comment. If you disagree with what I'm talking about, you say, hey, coach, no matter what, we're going to run our scheme, all right? And we're going to take players and, they're going to have to fit into our scheme. We're not changing. We approach it just like the NFL does. If that's your opinion, then fine. If your opinion is the NFL should change schemes based on the best pick available, and that guy's there, so you take him and you say, look, no, we're going to have to change our scheme a little bit because that guy's that good. It's your opinion. That's what this is all about. You're a viewer. I appreciate you watching. Your opinion is valuable. You cannot have a wrong opinion. All right, leave a message. I'll try and get back to any comments you leave. If you're interested in any of the clinics, sting8740@gmail.com. Hope you're all safe and healthy out there. Hope the school year, everything else you got is going well. Off season's going well. Hope your kids are progressing and doing everything you want them to do. Hope your schedule's worked out for you. All right, hope everything goes your way and you get everything that you want out of your football venture. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast. I will see you guys next time.